Hello, everybody. Today's first review from the double feature I went to see in theaters today is going to be of the Bad Guys 2, which I didn't think was quite as good as the first one. I can't even remember what I rated the first one, but I did give this one a 7 out of 10. So I'm thinking the first one just probably slightly edges out the second one. It's been so long since I've seen the first one that it was kind of nice to have like a little bit of a refresher of like what had happened in the first movie essentially to kind of set you up for this story, because if you haven't watched the first one you'd be kind of confused. But it was cool to see the scene at the very beginning in Cairo where they go and steal the car that was used in the first movie. So now you know how they got that. They ended up getting it from a billionaire. So it was kind of cool to watch that heist from 5 years ago, I guess, was when that must have been when the first movie came out. Has it really been that long? Has it really been, was it really 2019 when the first one came out? Or 2020, I guess? That seems like an extremely long time between movies, but I guess when you're doing that kind of animation, and I suppose everybody else kind of had like their own other projects obviously, so now they're getting together again to do a movie. Hopefully it's not that long between the second and third one, because there's definitely going to be a third movie. They definitely set it up for that. So yeah, we'll see where the third one takes us. But hopefully it's not till like 2030 before we get it, because yeah, I don't want to be 36 going to see Bad Guys 3. But that might be the case. So let's go over the cast list. So we had Omid Dajali playing the billionaire. Aquafina obviously returning as Tarantula. Craig Robertson, I believe he was the one who did the voice of the shark in the first movie. Forgive me if I'm not. Forgive me if it was somebody else, but I'm pretty sure it was him. Anthony Ramos as Piranha. Uh, oh my God. Mayor Marin? Or no, sorry, Mark Maron as Snake. Mayor Marin, jeez. I wrote that really sloppily. Mark Maron as Snake. Sam Rockwell as Rolf. Wolf. Oh my God. Sam Rockwell as Wolf. Good God. Uh, Richard Ayoade as Professor Marmalade. Colin Jost as Mr. Moon. Alex Bornstein as Commissioner Luggins, who I forgot actually voiced I guess she was captain in the first movie, but now she's commissioner, so she's moving up in rank. Zazie Beetz as Diana Washington, who is now the governor. So pretty crazy. Everybody seems to be moving up. Daniela Brooks as Kitty Cat. Natasha Lyon as Doom, or Susan, who is Snake's love interest. If you can believe it or not, I was actually surprised that he had a love interest at all, just the way he was in the first movie. He's a totally changed person now that they're, the supposed good guys, right? And then Maria Baklova as Pigtail Petrova. I just realized that rhymed. That's kind of funny that they rhymed her last name with the character in the movie. So in this one, they are supposed to be the good guys, right? Trying to live like the normal kind of 9 to 5 life, I guess. And obviously, I don't think that's really working for them, except for Snake, who finds a love interest in Susan. And of course, they think that he's this new bandit that's been stealing all these items now. But that's not true. He's just going to all these events with his newfound love. And he's doing this like kinyasa sort of thing where he's working out all the time. And it just happens to line up with the robberies that are going on. And of course, this new group is trying to frame the bad guys, because that would be a pretty easy setup, right? And when they go to the luchador event, they realize, Wolf realizes, he goes, oh my God, what would be the easiest way to steal this belt? The easiest way to do it would be enter into the competition and just take it, right? And of course, that whole plan goes awry, and it seems like this other group is like one step ahead of them constantly, because that was what they wanted to do. That's what they wanted to set up, was the bad guys showing up to that event and then framing them for stealing the belt. And it worked. All the luchadors and the crowd was running after them, like saying, hey, the bad guys are the bandits here again, and they've never really been good. Of course, that's not the case, but that was what the other group wanted them to have happen, or wanted them to have happen. Anyway, so this new group with Kitty Cat, Doom, and Pigtail Petrova are all trying to set up this master plan to go to the Moon X space station, and they have this whole new metal called MacGuffinite. So of course Diane has to do like her own research and has to go visit oh my god, Professor Marmalade in prison, and he seems to have been, working. Prison seems to be doing pretty good or he's doing pretty good in prison, I guess is what I'm trying to say, or prison's doing good on him. Is that the correct terminology? He's like leader of the pickleball team. He's obviously been working out, like he's completely jacked in this movie, which I thought was extremely hilarious. Um, so this new group is trying to get all of the gold using this metal called MacGuffinite, which can magnetize gold, and they're trying to get onto this rocket in order to go to space to get the MacGuffinite onto the space station and laser all of the gold up to them. It would be like the biggest heist in the world, right? Um, but in order to, yeah, they're not going to do it on Earth, obviously, because they're trying to draw all of the gold away from Earth and then somehow get away with all of the gold. I wasn't really entirely sure on their plan, but yeah, I guess that was the plan. Maybe Kitty Cat hadn't thought it out completely, but I think that was maybe the downfall of this movie for me a little bit. In my rating was that it seemed like almost too much at the end, but I mean, I will give them credit again with the layers of animation in this movie and the fact that Wolf was slowly starting to realize that he could outsmart Kitty pretty easily. He always seemed to have like a backup plan to the original plan, and of course, he was trying to shut off the magnet and cause a distraction at the same time as everybody else is working their stuff too. And he was able to shoot the rocket into the giant pile of gold and just blow it up completely and send it back down to Earth. Now, obviously, that's quite unrealistic because we all know that anything entering gravity would turn into flames and melt, so it would just be raining melted gold, which wouldn't be good for anybody. But of course, when the magnet or the MacGuffinite was drawing out the gold from Earth, there was a lot of destruction being caused. So, um, now, of course, Doom and Petrova seem to kind of come to their senses and say, like, maybe we've gone too far, this is going to end up killing somebody. And of course, it seems that Doom or Susan does seem to care a little bit for Snake, obviously, throughout the movie. Um, Even though she might, play it off like she doesn't. You can tell throughout the movie that she definitely starts to have feelings for him, even though they may both be denying it. Snake is a little less subtle about his denial, but yeah, she definitely does feel for him. And then, of course, Kitty just kind of goes, "No, this isn't part of the plan." She goes, kind of like psychotic almost in a sense, and basically just cranks up the magnet to like 11, if that's even the setting. But she does turn it up all the way to try to draw the gold out faster, and of course that ends up backfiring for her when the rocket gets sent into the gold and blows it everywhere. And then of course the whole space station starts to float back down into Earth, and it looks like the whole crew of the bad guys is going to be no more because there's this huge like funeral at the end of the movie for all of them, with Commissioner Luggins, who's doing like this huge big speech and saying that they were like her best friends and so on and so forth. And then she sets them up to be these secret agents. So technically, I guess they're going to be working for her now, in a sense, and they're going to become like the really good guys because it seems that obviously we know that Diane was set up and her video got leaked of her being a thief as well, so now she's not going to be a governor anymore, clearly. Now I can't remember her crime name in the first movie. Something. Oh my god, I wish I could remember it, because it was what Marmalade got set up for in the first movie as to why he was serving jail time. But I mean, he was he was the bad guy in that movie anyway, in the end, right? So yeah, him serving jail time wasn't necessarily a bad thing, but he was serving it obviously for the wrong reasons, right? Because everybody believed he was the criminal behind everything, but it wasn't necessarily that way. Obviously, there was more than one criminal in the first movie, as we know. So Diane's video gets leaked of her stealing stuff as well, and then she gets kicked out of her governor position, and that's when she says, you know, this whole medium friendship type thing that her and Wolf have been going through the entire movie is kind of off the table now, and they can, you know, finally, I guess, be together. So there's, yeah, I guess, hey, there's a happy ending to this movie as well, just like the first one. And of course, there is a little credit scene with Marmalade. He gets his car sucked into space because it's completely made of gold. And when he's in his car at the end of the movie, for some reason he says, "I love it when a plan comes together." So I'm not sure whether he was part of the other group or not. Like, it's really confusing to me as to why he said that. And then he flies away in his car. So clearly he's coming up with some sort of plan for a third movie. And now that the bad guys are now secret agents, that really does set up for a third movie where they're going to have to go and stop Marmalade from whatever he's planning next, I think would probably be the storyline there. So, yeah, looking forward to the third movie whenever it does happen. Hopefully sooner than later. Like, hopefully within, like, the next 2 years would be nice. Because, yeah, waiting 5 years between movies, if that's what had happened. I believe it's been about 5 years. So yeah, crazy to think that if that's true, that's how long it's actually been, because they do a flashback from 5 years ago. So I'm thinking it's been that long since the first movie. But anyway, yeah, animation in this movie incredibly good. Some of it was kind of like almost comic book like, which I did enjoy. But yeah, just the layers of animation in this movie, again, I feel like they absolutely killed it. And what else can I say? I guess the soundtrack again was good for this movie too, and the obviously the adult humor that they throw into these movies. Some kids aren't going to get it, but I feel like these are almost like adult animated movies in a sense. just sitting there watching in theaters, I was like, wow, is this really made for kids or was it made for adults? It's kind of like a middle ground, I guess, with some of the humor that was in the movie. But yeah, I did enjoy it just as much as I enjoyed the first one, and I believe I did go see the first one in theaters. It's been so long, I can't really remember, but anyway, 7 out of 10 for this movie, and I will see you guys in the next review. Bye-bye for now.